Hello folks, this is Rivered Audio, and today I'm looking into a very interesting subject. So sadly, I have in the past neglected Magnepans and planar speakers, and not because I don't like them, but because I have a relatively little experience with them. And honestly, my channel is really about education, and of course, I want to share what you are interested in, but it doesn't make sense for me to share things that I have little experience with, where I cannot really add to what you know, and in an area where I'm not of a much of a help. However, I just found this video of Mike yesterday, uh, and it has the title is "All Bookshelf Speakers Are Junk." I prove it in my next video, but then he actually explains that he doesn't want this title to be an offense. It's just something that just gets your blood pressure up and you are ready to hear some things. And in this video he says that Magnepans have the potential to have an unbelievable image, to image even better than small bookshelf speakers. And then he has a very involved discussion here with Jay Ziagi. I think many of you know him. He's in Canada, and he also has an audio channel. He has a pretty good videos, and he shares a lot about his audio journey. Um, and anyway, I don't want to go into their discussion. You can read it for yourself. But what I want to go is share my experiences about imaging, bookshelf speakers, Magnepan speakers, and bigger speakers. So what's the difference between the imaging that they provide? So during my brief experience with Magnepans, I have experienced that they do have the ability to present an absolutely amazing 3D image. So that they truly can create a world which is a sonic world which is very different from what either small cabinets produce with traditional electrodynamic drivers or large cabinets. Size doesn't really matter. They have their uniqueness. And I don't really want to go into how exactly they sound because I haven't heard a Magnepan in over 15 years. So I'm not really qualified to go on in the details, and I certainly don't have any fresh memories whatsoever on the subject. But I can tell when I was listening to them that the experience is truly something truly deep, and I would call them like a meditative speakers, and and here OCD Mikey says that if you throw a really big amplifier on them, then they really can play extremely loud. I never tried them with such heavy power amplifiers. Actually, I did at that time with an Adcom GFA 555, which is well, it's a very high power, capable of delivering very high current, but I quickly gave it away after a brief week because it was so grainy, so gritty. It's kind of like compared to my both my Stereo 70, which I have very heavily extensively modified, and my Darling amplifier. Now with the Darling amp we are talking about 1 watt per channel territory, single-ended, zero feedback. And then compared to those two, the Adcom, which was at that time extremely warmly welcomed and was known as as an amp of high quality, I mean in the solid state world, that's able to deliver tons of current which the Magnepans love. And yes, it was so, but even with the Magnepans, if I put on the Darling amp on them, the main advantage of the Magnepans, that beauty, their ability to take you into that absolutely amazing world that only they can project, was present 100 times more than with the Adcom. And just the lack of refinement, it with the Adcom was so disturbing for me, that their ability to play louder, it didn't mean anything because I wasn't able to enjoy it at all. So that's why I get rid of the Adcoms, and eventually I haven't been listening to the Magnepans since then, because I just stuck to my void pipes and Zenith open baffles, and actually one of the reasons was space. So with the Magnepans, at that time when I was using them, when I have them or had them, I was living in a one bedroom apartment, and basically when I wanted to listen to my Magnepans, then they occupied my only free room in the house. And I could do that for maybe for a couple of days, but not more. I needed space for living, so that's why they just went to storage. And sadly, I have not gotten back to playing around with them because I spent my last decade and a half exclusively with flea power or low power single-ended amplifiers and going more and more sensitive loudspeakers. However, if you do have the space, then the Magnepans are a treat to listen to. Absolutely. I have a good close audio friend of mine, and actually he has two systems set up. So he has a Magnepan room and the Edgar Horn room. So it's something that I would say is truly unique, and we can't, and I certainly cannot say whether it's better or not, but it can do Magnepans and quad and planar speakers. They can do something that no other loudspeaker can. They present the world, this world of sound, with such a paintbrush that only they can do. I think this is really the first and the last thing to say about comparison between Magnepan sound and electrodynamic sound, regardless of small speaker or large speaker. And the other thing that I started to mention was that the constraint of space. So with Magnepans, you really need to set them up very specifically, and you need to be very knowledgeable on how you set them up to get that absolutely fairy tale level otherworldly imaging out of them. And sadly, it also means that your listening position is extremely fixed. You cannot even move to the sides, not even a tiny bit. And ultimately, that was one thing that kept me from exploring them further, because when I listen to music, a lot of times I want to have the freedom to just move on about a little bit, because I listen to music like for hours and hours and hours every day. And for that, you cannot be sitting in the same position, mummified to a rigor mortis pose, because your muscles don't take kindly to such violence committed against them. So to be able to enjoy Magnepans, and you want to listen to 4 or 5 hours of music a day, then what you need to do is to have two setups for you. One with a Magnepan, where you have to be locked into a specific position to enjoy them, and one system with an electrodynamic speaker which gives you a greater freedom to move around in your room and still enjoy it. And I would say that the big strength of Magnepans for me is to listen to them when it's like late in the evening, you are about to go to sleep, and you want like a meditative experience, and then you can just sit down in your couch in the listening position. At that time you don't want to move about, you have nothing else to do, you just listen to it for an hour or something like that, not more than that, and it's just absolutely beautiful and gorgeous. So I think that's what I want to share about Magnepan and about their imaging, is that they present an absolutely fabulous world. And Mikey is saying in this video and in his comments that the best imaging you can get is with Magnepans. And Jay, he is very adamant on saying that the best imaging you can get is with a well set up pair of small bookshelf speakers. And I say that both of them are true. But how is that? Why are they both true? And what is that I can say about the matter? I will tell it in another video. So thank you guys for tuning in. And yes, I do agree with Mikey that if you want to hear Magnepans, then in most of the places where you go to, they are not set up properly enough for you to get that true experience with Magnepans. And thank you for joining in. Have an awesome day. Please like and subscribe and tell your friends. Bye bye.